guys, thanks for tuning in. This is Optibottom coming with another video review. And today, thanks to the folks at Fans Toys, we'll be taking a look at a test sample of their new F-15 Willis, which is their version of a Masterpiece style Hound. As with all these test samples, I do not have packaging. I also don't have instructions. So right up front, I do want to apologize if I kind of bumble through some parts. You guys know that I don't like doing it. I like showing you, the most fluid sort of transformation through these videos. And when you don't get instructions, you kind of have to just play with it till you get it looking right. So again, I do apologize, but I do think I got it down pretty good. As you can see, this guy really does look the part. Absolutely cool looking representation of that G1 Hound character. A lot of weight in this as well. It's a MP car Autobot size, but there's a lot of heft to him. He does have die cast. This whole section up here, coming down here, is all die cast, and then the back section here is also die cast. And part of it is really able to be seen in the actual paint. When you come in, I don't know how well that's going to come across, but you can see you got a really nice sparkly kind of paint that's in there that, like, for example, this is just plastic. That doesn't have you, and you can kind of see it here with this back section, how it comes across. You got that really nice reflective paint in there, and then it gets to this section, which is just green plastic. But in general, like I said, a lot of weight in this guy. I'm really quite surprised, but it turned out very, very nicely. Now, there is a debate between which one is a better representation of Hound, this or another third-party company's representation of Hound. And honestly, for me, I like this. This is my, or at least in my mind, this is what Hound should look like. I like the color. I think it's a little bit more accurate of a color on him, in recreating that Hound character. It's kind of in between the toy and cartoon. It's not quite cartoon, but close enough, I think. And then you come around to just the overall look of him. He's got a couple other accessories that I'll show you off here. You got the weapon here that's a little bit thinner. That again has a nice representation to the G1 cartoon and things like that. He's got the extra tire and gas tank here. He doesn't have the star in the back, which is something that they could probably add, or you could probably add, I should say, through stickers or something. The only thing, in terms of the aesthetic, you got the little arrow things here, which is pretty accurate to the cartoon as well. The only thing that's really missing would be an Autobot logo, like right there. As you can see, he's got the nice star logo that printed on this side. Obviously, since this is a third-party figure, they're not going to have the Autobot logo there. But again, repro labels makes these very, easy to do. You come around here. I actually like the W that they have printed right here on the, well, not really the engine block, but it's like, that rope section that you can use to attach to something and then, wince it back or something like that. So real great detail all the way through. You got some nice translucent headlights right here. You come around. I love the fact that he's got some seats and he's got a steering wheel. You also have some painted detail on the inside right there. Really very nice. You come around here to the back bed section, and this is just an empty section, but overall really very cool. I like the paint detail on here. You got the nice gas tank right there. Great detail here for the silver on these side mirrors. You got the little turn lights up here. One thing that people have talked about is the windshield wipers here at the actual top. That's accurate to some models of this Jeep. Some had it at the top, some didn't. But there is a lot of a debate about overall scaling for this, and I don't think it really is all that bad. You can see he's got some nice silver here for the hubcaps. He actually does have rubber tires, but the problem is, again, this is a test sample, so these are, you can see this spins pretty freely. This doesn't. Both these rear ones are pretty much stuck into place, especially this one. This is really rough to kind of turn, but again, it's a test sample, so I mean, even pushing it down, you're not getting much of a rolling. So hopefully that's something that is corrected on the actual final piece itself. If you do want to make this a little bit more of a accurate real life kind of Jeep, you can take this off. This is his more G1 toy accurate style gun that you can see can also plug here in the back. That does give a little bit more of a cartoon accurate sort of look, but he also does come with this black one, which is a little bit more of a real looking type of gun. This actually has a piston, so you can actually move this up and down, which is really cool. You can see you got two holes right here, so you could put both in there if you really wanted to. I don't know why you would, because he never really had that, but if you wanted to get this a little bit more of a real life Jeep kind of look, you can put that on there, which looks pretty good. I do like that as well. And then just to kind of throw an extra accessory in there, if you wanted to take his shoulder cannon, which again, really nice detail on there. You got a nice silver on the front and back section. It comes with this little adapter piece that can plug right in there, and then you can take this and angling that back some, you can peg that in there as well. I'm not a big fan of that, to be totally honest, and actually that might be reverse. Let me see if that's a little bit better. Yeah, I guess it's the same no matter what. I'm not a big fan of how that actually looks, but it's an option for you. Like I said, I like the actual, cartoon look, so it's definitely going to be, something like that. In terms of the other accessories, he does come with a really nice G1 cartoon style gun. This is really cool looking. Got that very nice silver paint on here as well, and just the overall, look of it is really very cool. They definitely nailed that cartoon look for his gun. You also do get an alternate face, and I'll show a side by side here in a second, but this is what we originally were shown for the face. And what they did was they gave us an extra one because apparently people didn't like the way that this one looked, so they gave us a new face. But since they already had this, what they decided to do was paint it white, which gives it a little bit more of that cartoon look. I mean, all the silver that's on the figure is actually supposed to be white. So that's what they utilized this extra head sculpt for, which I don't think really looks all that bad. You can see some really nice kind of bright blue eyes in there. He also does come with this. This is kind of a funny accessory. In like one episode, I don't remember which one it was early. I remember the episode, I don't remember the name of it. But they went underwater, and he had a little mask that could come down. I don't know why you need it, because he's a robot. You can't breathe in water, I don't know. But all it really does is just kind of friction in there. You can see you got little sections right here and here that kind of wedge on the inside of these little side bits here on his face, and then it just wedges in there. It works for both heads, but you do have something like that. That's just a cool little, extra bonus accessory that I think is neat that they actually included. They didn't need to, but it's just a little something extra. And then you get this little piece right here, which it plugs into the back of his waist, and I'll show that off here in a minute. I actually don't even know if I'm going to use this, just because it's on the back of his waist, so I don't really see it or anything. So in terms of his accessories, that's everything that you get. And I should show you that these little pieces right here, these do detach. You got a little hook kind of thing right here on the back that you just put on, and then it just clips down over there. You kind of want to do it where you're not covering up the tail lights, obviously. So get that on there, and you can have that. And again, it just gives it a little bit more of that, accurate look. So I'm going to take these off because transformation, you don't have those. But for some comparisons, now this is where, like I said, some people were complaining about it because they think that he's too big. And in actuality, this style Jeep is pretty big in real life. A lot of people assume that just because he's a Jeep that he should be a smaller car, but honestly, you got to remember that a Lamborghini like this is very small and kind of compact by itself. So size-wise, I don't think that this is really all that bad. You can see that lengthwise, they're about the same. He's a little bit taller, obviously, because, a sports car is going to be much more compact. And then Bumblebee is a pretty small car just in itself. But a lot of people are complaining about the size of this. And if you actually look at the pictures, and there are several that are posted over on TFW 2005 right now, that show this next to real life cars, you can just see how big this really gets. And it is actually fairly shocking. And for a couple bigger masterpiece cars, here we have them next to, obviously, Ironhide and Optimus Prime. And again, Ironhide is a minivan, so, that's the shape that he is. Again, about the same sort of length. Obviously, Optimus Prime is going to be considerably longer than Hound is here, or Willis, I should say. But you can see, just in general, I think that the scale does work. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that it's fairly, suitable, I guess. And for the most part, the scaling that is done, even with official figures, is meant to be kind of accurate in terms of their robot form. And this guy definitely is. And since somebody on my actual Facebook page asked if this is possible to do, here we have the trailer for MP10, and as you can see, he can fit in there. You do have to angle this down a little bit, but he can fit in the back of Optimus Prime's trailer perfectly fine. Obviously, if you have this all the way up, it does create a little bit of a clearance issue, and then also if you have his cannon on here, you're not going to be able to get it in. But if you take that off, and like I said, just angle this down just a hair, you can get this in there fairly well, and you can close that up and everything. So, like I said, size-wise, he fits fairly nicely with the rest of the masterpiece cars that we do have. And honestly, if we ever did get an official one, I think that this is the size that you would be basically looking at. Now, for some humans, here, Now this is where people complain about, you know, scaling. Well, here's humans, and obviously the cars are not going to be this big compared to the humans, but you could take this guy if you wanted to. You can sit them in there. They don't sit in there all that great, but they actually look pretty good inside here. You have a little steering wheel here on this side that can angle up some, and then you can take Spike. Because remember, up until Bumblebee, really, for the most part, Spike and Hound were really close buddies, and they went around and did a whole bunch of stuff together. So while that tandem kind of went away, you could do something like that, which, yes, it definitely looks a little bit weird, but hey, you got the seats in there, you got some human figures, why not have some fun with it? Now, first transformation, like I said, I unfortunately did not get instructions with it, so I'm going to do the best that I possibly can without kind of looking like I'm bumbling through it, and hopefully it comes across decently. First, what you want to do is detach this. You lift these sections up just like so. Do that on both sides just like that, and you can kind of angle those back just like that, and then you can take these legs, I like splitting them, and then you can pull them all the way out. So bring that up, and then you can just detach this entire section. You can see that there's little holes here that pegs that plug into, so pull that out, and then you can extend these legs all the way down just like that. Then take these tire sections. One thing that's cool, if you want to leave it like that, you actually can. For animation accuracy, though, you do want to detach it and rotate it around into the lower leg cavity right there. Take this, bring this around, and then you just rotate this whole section around just like that. This piece right here, you want to, on the inside, come around here, you want to swivel this around just like that, and then this piece right here will rotate around, and when you have that straight, keep that little piece right there. You want to keep that kind of going straight up and down so that you have clearance to bring this all the way down, and I didn't get it completely straight. Push that down just like so, and like I said, this little black piece will come up right there. Then you want to just take this, angle this kind of along the back tire, and that completes his foot and his leg. So again, we're going to do that on this side. Just rotate this section down, you rotate this piece back just like that, you bring this up, and then you swivel this piece around. It's very stiff. Rotate that around, keeping this little section straight. You bring that down just like so, keep this kind of up, bring this seat up where the actual seat part is on the bottom, and then the backrest is what kind of pushes along the tire right here. That kind of locks things into place and holds it there nice and firmly. And there you have the legs essentially done. Come up here to the arms. This part can be a little bit tricky, to be totally honest with you. You want to detach this, and then this little section right here is on a little sliding joint. You want to just pull this out just like so. Very stiff, but the plastic is very, very sturdy. I have zero fear whatsoever sliding this in when I'm transforming it just like so, or even pulling it out. It's very, very secure. I absolutely love that. You just rotate this around. This is going to become just a little bit floppy at this point. You want to take these arms, and this is where things can get a little bit complicated. You want to take this, detach these, rotate that around, rotate that around. Now this is the part where, in terms of the transformation, I kind of feel like I'm missing a step because it feels like things are kind of bumping into each other, and Fans Toys is actually usually pretty good at the fluidity of their transformation. So I don't know if I'm missing something in general or what, but you want to detach this. You got two little prongs that peg into what are going to become his arms, and then you just pull these out just like that. Then kind of bring this section around. You can see that it's on another swivel, so rotate that around just like that, and then you take this arm, and actually it's again a little bit tricky to do. You want to, let me see if I pull this one out, get that out of the way. Like I said, this part here I honestly feel as if I'm kind of missing a step or something, because it doesn't feel like it should be this complicated. So you get that rotated out, get a little bit of clearance, rotate this arm around just like that, where you're going to have it kind of positioned like so. Make sure that all this kind of stays straight, and then you can swivel this piece out. Keep that down, create that clearance there, And like I said, well, this, I'll show you that here in a second, but this just rotates out and around. The tire kind of gets in the way, so you want to push that in, but spin this around just like so. It's not hard to do. It just, like I said, feels as if there's clearance issues involved in it. So maybe get that, pop that little piece out. That's going to be his head, and then move that out. Maybe that'll clear some space up right here. Oh, one thing that I did actually forget, I don't know if it matters when you're doing it, but this section right here, you actually want to slide these pieces up. Maybe that'll create some clearance, to be totally honest, I'm not sure. So you're going to angle that in, bend this around, swivel this piece up. Again, you're going to push this around, then spin this, there we go, and then bring this up and out just like so. As I said, it's not hard to do. It just kind of feels like I'm missing a step in the process. So then here you can spin this head, get that in there. Let me see here. Well, keep these kind of out, angle that down, and spin that head all the way around, and let's go that way. There we go, just like that. And then when you have this out, kind of tab that in there. You can fix that later on, and then just kind of pull this section, get this out of the way. Maybe if I left that, no, it doesn't really matter. Leave that tabbed up, and then you pull these, and these have to tab underneath. And again, it does feel like I'm missing something when I'm doing this. That's the unfortunate thing of not getting instructions. Okay, I'm going to leave that up, then I'm going to rotate that around. There we go. That makes it a little bit easier. So then bring these pieces up. That'll kind of close in all that, I guess. Bring this down just like so. If you didn't have this down at that point, you can lower that, kind of get these out of the way. You got these little prongs here that now plug into the front of his waist. So kind of pull that up, bring that back, and lock that into place. So let's see. Then you make sure you push this all the way down, tabbing that into his torso bit right here. You kind of have to push this down, there we go, to get that flush. So then bring that in, bring that in, bring that down. That locks right there. Got these little bits right here, just going to rotate that down. You can tuck those down like so. Do that there as well. Rotate that around. Go ahead, pull the hands out. You can see that they don't collapse all the way in. They do go in at about a quarter of the distance. So just pull that out to fully extend it. Makes it a little bit difficult to grab it, but if you pull out his little fingers here first, makes it easier to pull that out. So just like so. Come around here to the back. Again, if you didn't have that down, you can push that down, bring this section up like so. The little steering wheel thing, it just, like I said, this is a test sample, so that just is glued in there. It actually pegs in there fairly securely, but if you mess around with it, it will pop out. So just getting that in there, I mean, it's not falling out or anything. It's just, if you pull on it, it'll detach. So keeping that in there, you just push that down, bring that there, kind of straighten them all out, straighten out his head. And then for the completed look, you have his shoulder cannon, and you can put these on either side. This is one thing that I'll touch on here a little bit that I'm not a huge fan of. It just kind of slots into either this groove section or this groove section where the hinge for the window is. You just put it in there, kind of put it there, and straightening them out. There you have Willis in his robot mode. And again, while, you know, there are other third-party representations of Hound that are out, that are coming out, things of that nature, I just am very impressed with this in terms of the, you know, recreation of how he looks, you know, compared to the actual cartoon. Other ones don't look bad. I think that they're more, honestly, of a classic representation, whereas this just fits with what I feel I personally like when it comes to masterpiece figures. I like them to be as, you know, close to that cartoon representation as possible, and I think this definitely has it. And then, like I said, you can take this very, you know, cartoon accurate gun, come around here, tab this into his hand, it tabs in very nicely, and again, I just think that that representation is more here than in any other versions. Now, unfortunately, there isn't really a storage spot For these guys, I guess you could probably, because they're just little hooks, I mean, I guess you could probably do something like this, I guess, if you wanted to. I mean, you just need to hook it on there, you know, so you could do something like that, I suppose. It doesn't bother me really all that much. And then what I was talking about before, you have this piece, lifting this up, you have this piece, and it tabs in here, apparently. I'm not 100% certain how the wheel came off. That's where they say that it kind of goes. It just kind of sits in there, to be honest with you. So, again, I don't have instructions, but you can see what that basically does for the back. I don't think it's really all that big of a deal, to be honest, because it's right there on his back. So I don't think it's that necessary, I guess, unless, you know, they're talking about like maybe up here or something. I don't know. Again, unfortunately, I didn't get instructions, and that's one of the unfortunate aspects of getting test samples. Now, this was part of the problem that I was talking about. As you can see, you got this little tab right here. The problem, though, that I think it comes into it is, and you got a little bit of a articulation point right there, but it just kind of sits in there. It's almost like this isn't long enough. What it ends up doing is, because it's not long enough, it just kind of flops there. It's not actually rotating here at this joint. It just kind of sits in there, and then the little tab just kind of sits there and goes back and forth like that. So that's really unfortunate, and you can see if you do that too many times, I mean, it will just kind of eventually work its way out. And that's, I wish that honestly this was just a little bit longer to kind of fit in there. So again, maybe that's something that they'll fix on the final one. I'm not 100% sure, but I just think that that could be done a little bit better. And then for the face, all you do here, it's on a mushroom peg. You just kind of slide it off, and then you can take the other one, and that's actually kind of bent here. Let me see if I can wedge this forward just a little. It's kind of, that's really kind of tough right there. So let me see. I don't think I can. There we go. Oh, no, that just moved it down. All right, so you just wedge that in just like so. Not kind of detached. So if you wanted to, you can have that white face on there, and coming in here so that you can get a real close-up look. Let me get these side by side with one another and kind of balance it on there so you can see it very easily, I guess. You know, I guess it's personal preference. I do think the silver one has a better shape to it, and it's not going to want to sit there very well. I think that it has got a overall better shape to the actual face, but I do like the white paint that's on the original one here, I guess. And I say original because that was the face that we were originally supposed to get until fans kind of complained about it and they decided to give us this. So, you know, kudos to Fans Toys for listening to them. But honestly, while I like the shape of this head, I like the color on the other one there. But what you kind of run into is, because the new one is a silver painted face, what you have is silver on the rest of the figure. You got silver on his thighs here, you got silver on his waist. That should all be white. If you're going with cartoon accuracy, it should be a white color, much like the face is. But when you have that on there, I kind of think it stands out a little bit more, because there's no other white anywhere on this figure whatsoever. It's all done in this very nice silver paint. So while I like the white on there, I do prefer the shape of this. I kind of wish it was swapped out. I wish that this had a, you know, white face on it. But white is lacking everywhere else on the figure. So in my personal opinion, I think that this is the best option for the head. It just overall looks better in terms of a representation, you know, throughout the entire figure. So really pretty cool, though. I do dig it, and like I said, just in general, I think that the overall look for this is a much better, you know, cartoon representation than anything else that's out there. I like the striping that's on his forearms and of course on his waist section right here. The feet, it does get a little bit weird kind of here in the back, but from the front and everything, it really does look like the cartoon model as well. I do like that. A lot of the other ones that I've seen, you know, you got big bulky, you know, feet right here, and like I was talking about, you can take this, you can actually rotate this out if you wanted to, and you can have this be your look for it. So if you wanted to go with, say, a cartoon representation, get that kind of tucked there. If you want, or I'm sorry, you wanted to go a toy representation, you can do that, and you can have the wheels out. It doesn't matter to me, you know, it's all personal preference, to be totally honest, but I like that they give us small little options like that. I don't know if that's something that they intended as an option, but I think that it is a cool feature. Now, for his articulation, I'm just going to take this off because it's going to keep flopping. The head, like I showed you, is on a little mushroom peg, so you get a nice rotation. It also looks up, and it kind of looks down. That's about as far down as it looks, so not a ton of articulation there. The shoulders here are a little bit limited, and it's all just because of the design of this. And it's not the design of the figure, it's the character design. These pieces right here, I mean, as you can see, yeah, that's about as far as the arm's going to go up, unless you rotate it out, rotate it, and then do something like that. So all that articulation is there, but you're only really going to get it going about that far because of just the character design. It does swivel in and out. It does have a rotation here at the upper part of the bicep, and it bends a very stiff joint here at the elbow as well. The wrists do rotate. You can get a nice range of motion with that. They're articulated here at the main set of knuckles. You come down here to the waist. It does rotate left and right all the way around. Again, really stiff joint on here, no ab crunch or anything like that, but with that extra, you know, neck joint, you can get a, you know, pose where you're I don't even know what that kind of pose is, but you can do it if you want to. The hips are on these joints that allow for it to move forward and back, also in and out. It also rotates at the upper part of the thigh. You got two joints here at the knee, mostly for the transformation, but you can kind of do it. You got a main joint right here, and then you got another little smaller one right down there. The ankles can pivot outwards like so you can get a wide pose with them. Kind of breaks up that look in general here, but it's not all that bad. They also do pivot forward and back just a little, so you can do that, and keeping those toes, I guess you could say the toes flex as well. So lots of articulation in the guy. Definitely a masterpiece quality level of articulation in him. So you got the look, you got the articulation. How does he stack up with the rest of the masterpiece figures though? And this is truly where the scaling is meant to work. And I really do think that what you're looking at here works very nicely. Now, to be totally honest, I do think that he is a hair too big. You can see, well, getting this moving around here on the side, you can see that he's a little bit taller than Sideswipe here, so he's also going to be taller than any other car that does share the same mold. It's not bad. It is close enough. Obviously, Bumblebee is going to be a much smaller character, so that's the kind of scale that you're looking for with that. So, like I said, I do think he might be a hair too big. It's not something that really bothers me all that much because it is such a minute difference. Bringing in Trax, who's a little bit taller of a car Autobot, you can see get his head straight. At the actual head here, Trax is a hair taller than him, and then obviously he gets much taller with the wings and things like that. But like I said, Trax is a little bit taller of an Autobot, so it's really not too terribly bad there either. And for Ironhide here, as you can see, obviously he is a much larger Autobot, so scaling-wise, that's what you're looking at. So again, I think that it works fairly well overall, just as a kind of standard, I suppose. And then here he is next to Optimus Prime, who is, you know, the biggest of the Masterpiece figures. And again, I think that the scale here works really nicely as well. In all, I think that, like I said, the scale is what they're going for, or the scale that they're going for is here in robot mode. And this is a good cast. I think that in general, what you're looking at is about on par with how they looked in the cartoon. And I'm actually really very happy with this. I transform him back, and honestly, this is the most difficult part for me because he showed up on my door in robot mode, so I had a harder time figuring out how to get him into his vehicle form than getting from his vehicle to this. So it was a little bit tricky, but if you haven't detached this, obviously you're going to want to take this off. If you didn't have his guns, or if he had his guns in his hands, you want to take those out. First, you're going to want to collapse the hands. One thing that I will tell you is that they are specific. You have to keep the hands lined up just like this. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but you can kind of see on the inside here that there's a little groove section that fits where his thumb goes. So you want to take that and collapse it in right there. Make sure that the hands are completely collapsed down, and then the fist collapses, like I said, about a quarter or so, maybe at most a third of the way into the actual forearms. So you don't have to worry about pushing too terribly far in. Detach this section right like so, and then detach this just like that. Again, this is kind of the tricky part. The legs are actually really easy to do. This section here is the tricky part to do. Kind of make sure you get this out of the way, get that out of the way. You're going to detach this section, so kind of, again, push this down and then pop that just like so, and then you can take this bit here and you're going to be able to accordion this out. At least you should be able to. Let's see if maybe I'll lift these little pieces up. Again, like I said, I am doing the absolute best that I can, so actually push those down and then you can lift this section up just like that. Then rotate these tires out kind of halfway, you know, something along those lines, so that you can actually rotate this and then spin these arms down, just getting that like that. And then you can, once you get it about halfway down, you can rotate this and you're going to, let's see here, spin this piece around. Come on, get that. Which way do you go? Actually, then see again. I hate not having instructions on how to do this. Okay, so we're going to rotate this all the way down like that. And then you spin this around, and then you can bring this all the way up, just like so. Then you can bring the tire out just like that. Then this whole section right here, you just kind of swivel this around back like so. Then rotate this around kind of like that. Again, do that on this side. We're going to rotate this piece around, get that in, spin this around like so, then bring this tire, kind of get that out of the way. And this is really stiff. Oh, his head fell back there. That's causing some discomfort in things. So keep the head out and then push that all the way around. That's very stiff on this swivel joint section. And then get that as far as you can. Bring this up, bring that up, and then position that in just like so. Then bring the tires out like that. Here you can then rotate this little green section. You want to swivel that down, and then you're going to spin this around just like so, and then kind of keep the arms like that, and that's basically what you want to have it looking like. You can then spin the head around right here, bring this section down, and well, actually we're going to leave this up for right now because, well, let's see, which way do I want to do it, because it's a little bit easier to, before you bring this all the way and lock this into place, to bring these hands up. So then spin these around, keeping this joint, this little green section, keeping that in place like so. So you want to keep that green piece hanging down here. So when you rotate this, it has a tendency to want to just rotate all the way. Hold that right there and then just spin this up, put that in just like that. Then bring the head. Oh, well, darn it. See, again, not knowing the steps in the order, you're just kind of fiddling with it. So you got the head here, kind of keep the head there, then bring this in just like, oh, there we go. And then you can bring this down, and then you want to line these little prongs up with the little square sections on the actual wrist. Push that in just like so. Gonna keep that straight, and then you can push this in and lock that into place just like that. And there you have the front basically done. You kind of lift these little pieces, bring those just kind of friction in on the side right there. And honestly, the worst part is done. So I hope that I was able to show that. Like I said, I really don't like not having instructions in order to give a real, proper transformation for this for you guys. So hopefully you guys were able to see that pretty well. This section right here, it slides up. Get that out of the way. Slides up. Slides up. Very stiff on that joint. And then you're going to just bring this in, and that kind of frictions again right there, and then it's going to come undone, so that's where you want it to be, but you don't have to leave it there for right now. And then this, going to rotate this out, rotate that down, then take this whole section here, spin this around just like so. This little black section, getting this down here, this little section right here will swivel to that side. Then you come around here, take the tire, rotate that out, that tabs along the side there. Then you take the entire lower section, this accordion's up, and you can see you got a little tab right here that when you get it as far up right there, that's where it needs to be. So that's where it's going to end up. Then rotate this, you have the round section here, and then that little tab comes up. That will lock into place right there when you get everything proper. So like that, push that in just like so. I'll rotate this around, helps to line things up. And then this section here will spin around like so. Bring that all the way around, and basically you're just kind of fiddling with this to get all these little panels here straight. So straighten that as best as you possibly can. Tab that in on the bottom section. Let's see, did that lock in? There we go. Bring that there. Then you can bring this up, and you can hook this down right there. And then again, we'll fiddle with this here in just a second, but you basically have that side done. Do that on this side as well. We're going to rotate this out, take this section, spin this around like so. Then that black bit that's on the inside, that rotates around to that section. Take this entire assembly, come around here, take the tire, rotate that out, take this entire assembly, angle this back along that side, then you just rotate this seat outward, just like so, and then this whole section here just rotates down. Keep the seat fitted just like that. And again, you just kind of wedge everything where it's supposed to go. And I mean, basically you're seeing how it's coming together, kinda, sorta, hopefully. Just bring this in, get that little tab in there, just like that. And you can bring the two back halves together, lock that in, push all this down so that it's flat. That looks pretty good. And then this section hooks on here. Let's see, where's the hook? There you go. Slide that all the way down, straighten out the tire or the seats right here. If the steering wheel popped off, which mine did, hopefully yours will not. Just you can, I don't know if you can see it, but it's in a shape of a half circle, so it sits in there fairly easily. But putting that there, making sure these are upward, then you can take that again, whichever one that you want. You can put that right there, and there you have Willis back in his Jeep mode. I guess for a final touch, you got to take these little pieces here too and put those, just kind of hook those on there on the back section, and then do that with the gas tank as well. So there you have the more completed look. But in general, I'm really very happy with how this guy turned out. Vehicle mode wise, I think looks terrific. I think the ugliest part, and I didn't touch on this earlier, and I do apologize because I honestly did forget, but you can see, well, I'm just going to take these off. From the top, you can see that it is kind of gappy right there. You can see it also down here from the bottom. There is no bottom sort of section on it. I don't think it looks all that bad, to be totally honest with you. I mean, a Jeep would have that kind of closed off, but I think that without adding extra parts, obviously, to kind of, you know, cover that up, they did a pretty good job, I think. And I just think the rest of the look in general is what I'm looking for in a Hound figure, and that's why I ultimately like this one more than other ones that are offered. Transformation is actually pretty simple. I do wish that I did have the instructions so I could get a better feel for the transformation, but even doing the few times that I have done it for the review and obviously practicing beforehand, it is much easier as you do it over and over again. Getting instructions is just really hard to do a video review for. Or I should say, not getting instructions makes it hard to do a video review for. But the transformation is actually pretty good on it. I really do think that it's, you know, decently complex, but pretty fun as well, but not overly complex. You just really do have to know the proper sequence for doing things. But I think the best part on this is this guy's robot mode. Again, I just think it, you know, more impressively captures that cartoon likeness. Now, that's not to say that other ones are bad. I actually do like them, but for my personal collection, I like having that cartoon representation, and this, in my opinion, definitely nails it. I mean, the offerings from Fans Toys really have kind of solidified them as one of the best third-party companies that's out there. And Willis here is definitely an example of that talent that they do have. I really do enjoy this guy. And I think Masterpiece collectors are going to like him as well. So if you're interested in picking this guy up, he is available at Big Bad Toy Store. So all you have to do is click on the link down in the video description. You'll go to BBTS where you can check out availability on this guy, as well as the rest of the Fans Toy Masterpiece figures. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibotimus. Don't forget to please like, comment, and subscribe in case you haven't already subscribbled. And until next time, I'll talk to you later.